that he did
Really?
that last year. That was an excuse
That's how you feel?
for him to do that. And with all due respect to your question, I do not intend not to honor my oath
Hold
of
on, let me
office,
get my
nor do
shit
my
up
colleagues
here.
in the House of
Go
Representatives
home.
to honor our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, which has a system of checks and
Let's go
balances,
to my
separation
channel.
of
Let me
power
get this
in
link.
it. And again, it's a question of the American people understanding that what he is doing is an assault on the Constitution of the United States. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I hope he can too.
Yesterday you said that the president may engage in impeachable offenses. Yeah. Yet today you're saying you're not on a path to impeachment. Can you explain why you are opposed to launching an impeachment inquiry? Like many of your members want to do.
Let me be really very clear. The president's behavior in terms of his obstruction of justice, the things that he is doing, it's very clear. It's in plain sight. It cannot be denied. Ignoring subpoenas, obstruction of justice. Yes, these could be impeachable offenses, but I intend not to. The three things. You might understand it better if you remember these three things. We want to follow the facts to get the truth to the American people, with a recognition, too, that no one is above the law, and three, that the president is engaged in a cover-up. And that is what my statement is. How we deal with it is a decision that our caucus makes, and our caucus is very much saying whatever we do, we need to be ready when we do it. And I do think that impeachment is a very divisive place to go in our country. And what we can get the facts to the American people through our investigation, it may take us to a place that is unavoidable in terms of impeachment, or not. But we're not at that place.
Do you want to
Yes. Can you take another meeting with the president after what happened? And can you work with him on anything?
Of course. I mean, we're dealing with a situation that is becoming more predictable. But I do think that we have a responsibility to try to find common ground. It's funny you asked that question, Casey, because yesterday I was going to start the meeting in terms of course, putting it in stark perspective as I have done here, but also to say we're very busy people, the leaders in the Congress, especially the President of the United States, I think. And a meeting between the leaders of the Congress and the President is an historic meeting. This is not a casual coming together of Democrats and Republicans. This is a historic meeting. It's the leadership of the legislative branch, the first branch of government, and the President of the United States. So let's make it count for something. Let's really make it count for something. By dint of preparation, by dint of respect for each other's views, understanding that we'll have to yield.
All right, you ready to do this?
Have to get results for the American people.
I got the advertisement up.
Was not prepared by dint of preparation. He was not prepared, and so he used some excuse to go out the door. And I will not take responsibility for his irresponsible behavior because we are pointing out the truth.
Posting a link on the page.
Given the gravity of the meeting, Kellyanne Conway made a remark at the end of the meeting. She's apparently expanded on her remarks.
I'm not going to talk about that. I responded as the Speaker of the House to the President of the United States. Other conversations people want to have among themselves. It's up to them.
You guys have a lot of major legislative issues that you need to address. Some of the Treasury Secretary here talking about basically that's even the import of that. You're going to need Democratic votes, to have the question of how do you go back and re-engineer this? You might not get infrastructure, so you got to keep the government open, and you have to raise the debt ceiling, and they're going to have Democratic votes from the president. You're going to have that.
Why don't you go ask that question of the President of the United States? We have always been responsible. Left to their own devices, our appropriators can always, I'm an appropriator, I forge in that culture, intelligence and appropriation. And in those days, they were not really partisan arena. So, frankly, on disaster assistance, we could have gotten there left to their own devices of the appropriators until the White House intervened. So we will have to pass the appropriations bills. And we will, and hopefully we will do them in a very timely fashion. The debt ceiling will have to be lifted, and that's
what's up.
Conversation that we're having on the debt ceiling.
You're gonna learn today.
Saying, as the president said, if you don't if you don't stop investigating me, if you don't stop honoring your oath of office, I can't work with you. That's basically what he's saying.
You didn't get the memo?
I don't know. But on the
It's
other
playoff
hand,
basketball, dog. It's playoff basketball.
we understand what our responsibilities are. We're fully prepared to go forward. It will be up to them to have some level of
Put you
cooperation.
in a better position to ask for more, though, because of the blow up yesterday.
We want to do what we have to do right for the American people, respectful of all the equities that have to be weighed.
Try.
You said in Friday, you suggested it today, that the president wants to follow up to the impeachment. Can you explain that again? And can you also explain the comment that made
All that reaching and shit.
you made a comment that you thought the staff might want to do?
Oh, I thought you said statutory.
It's a little early for Winslow, ain't it?
That would be great. Troublemaker.
A little early for Winslow, ain't it?
I'll take it up with my caucus.
Oh my God.
Thinking about it. But your support will be important to them.
Oh my God.
Oh yes, there's no question. The White House is just crying out. That's why he flipped yesterday, because he was hoping. Somehow or other, you all have a story that isn't real. I mean, you want to believe that there's all this unease in our caucus. That simply isn't the truth. We have respect for the diversity of opinion in our caucus. And I say to the caucus, our diversity is our strength. Our unity is our power. And we have unity in our caucus. And so when he saw that, see, he's saying, oh, you called that meeting at
Little
9
boy
o'clock.
alert, man.
No, we have the meeting, Mr. President. It's not about you, but it is about whatever is current at that time. And so somehow or other, you keep perpetuating this story.
I knew that was going to happen, too.
Because it isn't factual.
Had the wrong person throwing it past me, dog.
That was what disappointed him, because he didn't see this rush to impeachment coming out of our caucus in our 9 o'clock meeting, which he thought was called specifically for him. And then that's up to his family and his cabinet and his staff and the White
Shoot the
House.
ball.
Not behavior.
The fuck?
Rises to the
Motherfucker wouldn't shoot the ball.
Of the United States.
Shoot the ball.
But having said that, as I said, I actually.
You shut the fuck up.
President, because we need. I don't know. Sometimes when we're talking to him.
Yo, don't you see me engaged in a fucking game right now? Huh? Do you not?
What goes on there? Who's in charge?
What is that noise I hear? What is that noise I hear? What is that noise I hear?
Even more since yesterday, because I don't think that any responsible assistant to the President of the United States would have advised him to do what he did yesterday.
I know you ain't talking about Madden over there.
And there you have it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, it would seem as if she is doubling down on what we heard from her yesterday. At one point during the course of those comments, you know what, let's listen back in. Looks like she might be.
Get off me, little fella.
Thank you.
Couldn't really make out exactly what she said at the end. We'll try to find out if it was newsworthy, but at one point during the course of her comments there, she accused the president of being, again, engaged in a cover-up, also said that he was involved in impeachable offenses, including obstruction of justice, currently, and he, at one point, encouraged his family and staff to stage an intervention as well. Let us bring back Jake Sherman, Anna Palmer.
That's part of the problem.
I'll start with you here, and again, we've got Congressman Clyburn standing by. But Jake, one of the things I also found very interesting, in the beginning of her comments there, Speaker Pelosi claiming that part of the president's motivation yesterday in leaving that meeting might be what we were talking about right before she started, the decisions that have been handed down by two separate judges this week.
No, you can't guard me, dog. He too big.
Finances.
You got to change your lineup.
Yeah, I think
D Wade can't guard it either. You got to change your lineup. You got to change your lineup, son.
the president was obviously set
You got
on
to change your lineup.
Democrats at 9 a.m., a meeting they frequently have. But let's unpack this for a second. The Speaker of the House just indicated the president's
I'm just telling you what it is, man.
that yes, he has
I'm just telling you what it is, man.
offenses and questioned who's in charge in the White House and suggesting the president, in fact, was not in charge and there's some other force besides the president's decision making that is. I mean, these are extraordinary comments for which we see obviously some evidence over the last couple weeks and months, but an extraordinary set of comments from the speaker a day after the president basically kicked them out of the White House, sent them back to Capitol Hill, and set off this stalemate over the one piece of proactive legislation Democrats and Republicans could have gotten done this Congress.
Anna, this Deutsche
What you mean?
decision. Do you get the sense? Have you got the sense?
When he posts
that
up, he don't miss. He just don't shoot from the outside.
Something that perhaps bothers the president, concerns the president more than maybe a lot of folks realize.
Yeah, I think Democrats feel like these two wins in the courts are fundamental to their case, and I think that they feel like they're getting closer and closer to issues the president doesn't want to talk about. The president, if you remember, during the Mueller investigation, said over and over again finances weren't to be investigated, that wasn't what this was about. And so now you have this investigation by House Democrats that's going into territory that the president is very uncomfortable with.
All right, Anna Palmer, Politico Playbook. Anna, thank you. Jake Sherman, a big thanks to you as well. Let us bring in South Carolina Congressman James Clyburn now, the House Majority Whip, who was at that oh-so-brief meeting yesterday, as I understand it. Congressman, just before we get into the Speaker's comments there, inside that meeting at the White House that really escalated this tension, what happened?
Well, that meeting was very surreal. I've been in many meetings there in the cabinet room. And on yesterday, when we entered the room, I noticed something very different. All the curtains were drawn. As you know, that room, the windows open out onto the Rose Garden. We couldn't see out into the Rose Garden. And it was for a good reason. They had moved all of the media into the Rose Garden. They had set up.
Stop playing aggressive. Stop playing aggressive.
A podium.
Yes, you are. You got your settings on aggressive, man. Yes, you do, man.
So, while we stood in
No, I got no money.
the president entered the room, waving some papers in his hands, and he made it very clear
He can't
that
shoot.
we would either
Damn.
or investigate, that we could not do both. And until we, as members of Congress, give up our constitutional duties of oversight, we would not be able to work with him, or he was not
Damn.
willing to work with us on trying to legislate. So it was kind of surreal. Nancy Pelosi, after he walked out of the room, responded to those who were left, us and his staff, with a 200-year review of how important infrastructure is to the country. She went back to Thomas Jefferson and his big infrastructure bills involving the railroad, the Erie Canal, all of those things they made for great infrastructure needs in our country. Then she came 100 years forward to Theodore Roosevelt and what he did on
You gonna play some defense or
our
what?
National Park Service was such a benefit to this country that we enjoy today. Then she came
That's right.
100 years to today.
Only up
Said
6.
that we thought we were going to
Hey, you heard?
this president.
I'm bringing up the pass. Pass don't count. This playoff basketball. This playoff basketball right now. Everything's different. Ain't no need to worry. Worrying ain't gonna change nothing. Twan, we don't need you officiating shit.
Congressman, quickly here, because we just heard from the Speaker shares that weekly briefing.
Excuse you?
I hear that maybe the president isn't in charge in the White House. What is that? do we not think that the president's calling the shots anymore?
What the fuck happened just now?
What I do is that the president, when we met 2 or 3 weeks
I wasn't.
we had a very productive meeting. He is the one that put the $2 trillion figure for infrastructure on the table. We were all supposed to come back offering our suggestions as to how to pay for it. Maybe he wasn't prepared to
You did good. You did good. You did good.
pay for it. Maybe he wasn't prepared to take leadership as he should. Now, why he's not prepared, I do not know. Is it because he has not gotten information from wherever?
Everybody got a file, man. All them damn files.
He did not seem to be prepared to come to the table and be the leader of this great country that I had hoped he would be.
Do you think that the president is trying to goad you and your Democratic colleagues into impeachment?
Absolutely. And I would say
Really?
to all of my colleagues that we have to be very, very careful of that. Look, we're having significant victories. We've had now 2 court decisions, one on yesterday and one earlier this week, giving us all that we have been asking of the courts. Now they'll appeal these cases, but who is to say we won't succeed?
Boy, stop it.
We've had a break in the ranks of the GOP on the calls for impeachment. Is now a bipartisan call.
I can't see who you are.
A member of that group at this point. I really believe that what we need to do is continue to develop our case, build the platform, have our investigations, do our oversight, and then bring the public along with us. More people in the public now favor impeachment than did 2 weeks ago. And I suspect that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be even more.
What the fuck was that?
Bipartisan, broad public support for
That should have been a foul.
and that's what impeachment is.
Yeah, man. That was a foul.
Our caucus moving in that direction.
House Majority Whip, James Clyburn. Congressman, thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Coming up, we will go live to Missouri once again, where dead tornadoes ripped through neighborhoods, tore.
Oh my God, that wasn't no foul? You pushing beat out of bounds.
Swath of damage like the one you see there. And the Pentagon is proposing sending more American troops to the Middle East. We're going to introduce you to 2 heroes, Medal of Honor recipients.
There's no way you made that shit.
I don't keep track of regrets, and I don't add up the years, but what I do count on is Boost.
Delicious Boost Protein Nutritional Drink has 20 grams of protein, along with 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Boost High Protein. Be up for life.
Introducing Nutrisystem's Spring Sale. Save 50%. Yes, 50%.
It's your favorite foods made healthier, perfectly balanced to put your body in fat burning mode. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 60 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 41 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Count, measure, meetings, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now. You'll get specially designed meals.
The food comes right to your door and it tastes great. You get the right foods in the right portions, so you learn how to keep the weight off.
Plus 1 week of all new Fresh Start shakes with probiotics to shrink your belly free.
And there's even a money-back guarantee.
For a limited time, save 50% off every program.
It's the biggest sell of the season. Go online right now.
Go online or call 888-681-FIT6 right now to save 50% plus get probiotic shakes free.
As you now have 76,000 points as part of your loyalty program, there's a 5% discount applied to your hotel room. $120 for the night, please.
Oh, 5% off as well as free Wi-Fi. Not bad.
$95 for the night, please, sir.
Wait, what?
Get shit out of here.
Trivago will compare hotel prices from hundreds of websites worldwide, so you can often find a better deal for your hotel room. And also free Wi-Fi. Maybe you should try Trivago next time.
Hotel Trivago. Billions of mouths, billions of problems. Morning breath, garlic breath, easy breath. There's a TheraBreath for you. TheraBreath Fresh Breath Oral Rinse instantly fights all types of bad breath and works for 24 hours, so you can breathe easy. There's TheraBreath at Walmart.
The day after chemo shouldn't mean going back to the doctor just for a shot. With Neulasta Onpro, patients get their day back. To be with family, or just to sleep in. Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection. In a key study, Neulasta reduced the risk of infection from 17% to
Really?
1%.
A fucking layup from the 3-point line, dog? Seriously?
Deliver Neulasta the day after chemo and is used by most patients today.
Neulasta is for certain cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. Do not take Neulasta if you're allergic to it, or Neupogen, filgrastim. An incomplete dose could increase infection risk. Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal, as well as serious lung problems, allergic reactions, kidney injuries, and capillary leak syndrome have occurred. Reported abdominal or shoulder
Eyes got wide.
to your doctor.
Eyes got wide.
Patients with sickle cell disorders, serious, sometimes fatal crises can occur. The most common side effect is bone and muscle ache.
Ask your doctor about Neulasta Onpro. Pay no more than $5 per dose with copay card.
At Carvana, no matter what car
Better
you
put
buy
a
from
body
us,
on
you
her.
get the freedom of a 7-day return policy. This isn't some dealership test drive. It's better. This is 7 days to put your Carvana car to the test.
You better put a body on her.
Put up with a week's worth of groceries. Take the kiddos out for ice cream. Check that it has enough wiggle room in your garage. You get the time to make sure you love it. And on the 6th day, we'll reach out and make sure everything's amazing. If so, excellent. If not, swap it out for another or return it for a refund. It's that simple. Because at Carvana, your car happiness is what makes us happy.
41 million people at risk right now for weather across the country again today. And this comes on the heels of those violent tornadoes that tore through Jefferson City and left 3 people dead and several others. This is Morgan Chesky, who remains on duty for us there in Jefferson City, Missouri. Morgan, what are you seeing now? What are people telling you?
Yeah, Craig, we knew this damage would be bad when we heard about the size of this tornado, but when our crew drove in before dawn this morning, this was our first glimpse of just how bad this tornado was when it made its way through just after midnight. And this was, believe it or not, a storage facility. And a quick look is all it takes to see the power that this storm had when it made its way through early this morning. So many people safe at home overnight when it struck, showing up to see if their possessions are safe today. And it's about 50-50 on whether they're still here or whether they're gone. The sad story, a lot of these older cars are actually belong to the owner of this facility who brought them from the nearby airport here because the airport, where there's another garage, was supposed to get hit by severe weather. As you can imagine, a lot of frustration today, people showing up, trying to lend a hand because Jefferson City hit so hard by this tornado. We had a chance to hear from the governor earlier today about his reaction when he pulled into the city for the very first time this morning.
But we're watching all these warnings take place ourselves live to make sure people were warned. I think the city here in Jefferson City, the county, the emergency personnel did a great job getting these warnings out last night. And I think people did heed to those warnings and took shelter, and that was very important. Thank goodness it worked like it was supposed to work.
And the governor, again, giving that credit to that early warning system. At last check, officials say about 20 people were injured by this tornado here in Jefferson City. No one was killed here in Jefferson City. Those 3 fatalities reported were about an hour and a half southeast of here, just north of Joplin. And the big priority right now, sure no one else is trapped in those hard-hit neighborhoods and making sure that they can get these roadways clear for emergency vehicles, which are still having a tough time in and around areas of Jefferson City today. So a long road ahead, but they're definitely on it here in Missouri. Craig?
It's so jarring to see so much of people's personal belongings just scattered there in Jefferson City. Morgan, thank you. We'll check in with you a little bit later, so thank you. So this Memorial Day weekend,
Get the fuck out of here.
Americans should be honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our freedom, and hopefully take a moment to think about our nation's veterans. We have a rare privilege today. I'm joined by not one but 2 Medal of Honor recipients, Sergeant Leroy Petrie and Sergeant Sammy Davis as well. Gentlemen, thank you both. Thank you so much.
Glad to be here with you, sir.
Well, it is my honor. Sergeant Petrie,
That's all it is.
because as I understand it, you received the Medal of Honor for saving your soldiers from a grenade in Afghanistan. And one thing I've come to know about you guys is that you don't really like to talk about the circumstances surrounding that day. So I want to ask you about those circumstances specifically. But what does
Given.
to wear that medal?
Man, it's May, it ain't December.
It represents everyone who has served, is serving,
and especially those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. This Memorial Day, I tell a lot of folks that we shouldn't wait till someone is injured or killed
Little fella.
to honor them, that we should also be honoring our military and our veterans that are still in our communities.
Sergeant Davis, you received yours, as I understand it, for fighting off the Viet Cong while you were wounded. And then you use an air mattress to get others across the river during the Vietnam War. Same question to you. What does it mean to wear that medal?
You do for your brothers, you know they'll do for you. When I was looking across that river and I seen 3 of my brothers standing over there, now I'd been shot, my back was broke, my ribs were crushed, but when I seen my brothers over there, I knew they would come get me. So how could I not go get them? And I used the air mattress because I was not confident that I could swim that well. So I used the air mattress to get across, and then I put the 2 men that were the most severely wounded, I put on it. And Jim just held on to that, and we got back across.
Sergeant Petrie, you have a service dog. I got to meet your service dog earlier. He was barking in the studio, so he's not in with us now. Maybe this isn't true, but someone said it to me, and I'll ask you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it true that we haven't had a suicide committed by a veteran who has a service dog? Is that accurate?
As far as I know, yes.
Why do you think that is?
It holds you accountable to somebody other than yourself. I've known a few folks that...
Get off me, little fella.
At that point where she had already written the...
Switching everything, that's what you're doing.
Ready to commit suicide, and she looked at her dog, and she couldn't do it. And they come with you. They take care of us as much as we take care of them, just like our buddies in the military. We got to take care of one another.
Sergeant Davis, what are some of the biggest issues you think affecting specifically Vietnam War veterans right now?
From my experience, most of the veterans don't talk about what happened in Vietnam. What I have personally found is that it's more healthy for your soul to talk about it, to get with other veterans and share what's in your soul. It doesn't mean that it goes away. When you get it out of your soul and put it in the sunlight, it eats all the moss off of it. And it's still there, but because you've been able to get it out, it helps your heart and your soul.
Sergeant Petrie, as you probably know, the Pentagon just announced it's going to request sending 10,000 more troops to the Middle East amid the escalating tensions there in the region of Iran specifically. What would you like decision makers to know about serving in that part of the world?
I think I would like them to know that we trust our military leaders, and that if they ask us to go, absolutely 100% continue to support them in their decisions. They've been doing this for their whole lives, and to not be hasty on that. It's an all-volunteer military. We all know what we signed up for, and if they need us to go, we should be ready. And don't hesitate to support them when they say that's what they need, and continue to support them all the way through.
Sergeant Petrie, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Thank you.
Sergeant Davis, thank you as well.
Thank you for your service, sir.
I appreciate
There are many jobs. As long as we do our
Little
job,
fella.
the job gets done.
Amen to that.
Thank you for doing yours.
Amen to that. When we come back, Democrats vying for the White House, making free college a cornerstone of their campaign platforms. We're going to take you to a state run by a Republican governor with its own free college program.
Best in class by Car and Driver. It's your passport to adventure. The all-new Passport Elite from Honda.
My time is thin, but so is my lawn.
Now there's Scott's Thicker Lawn 3-in-1 solution with a soil improver, seed, and fertilizer to feed.
Now yard time is our time.
This is a Scott's Yard.
Let's get this party poppin' with Bunch of Balloons Party. Simply attach your stems to the electric party pump and press go. 40 party balloons fill, tie, and string in 40 seconds.
That's a balloon a second.
That kid's a genius. Every balloon has ribbon and string already attached. And you can fill these game-changing balloons with helium, too. 40 balloons
3 seconds. 3 seconds.
Perfect for every kind of party.
3 seconds.
Save time and your breath with Bunch of Balloons self-sealing party balloons.
Seen FanDuel's golf contest this week?
Yeah, I've been playing with Todd from work.
Todd?
Yeah, Todd.
Eyebrows, Todd?
Todd. Why are you looking
Todd?
at that? I saved a whale once.
This is my body of proof.
Proof of less joint pain and clearer skin.
Proof that I can fight psoriatic arthritis.
With Humira. Humira targets and blocks a specific source of inflammation that contributes to both joint and skin symptoms. It's proven to help relieve pain, stop further irreversible joint damage, and clear skin in many adults. Humira is the #1 prescribed biologic for psoriatic arthritis.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ask your rheumatologist about Humira.
Go to mypsaproof.com to see proof in action.
I can't read a thing off of here.
All right, have we decided?
We actually forgot our readers.
Here you go.
As your eyes get older, the adjustments you make can be frustrating. Ask your eye doctor about Dailies Total One multifocal contact lenses. They let you see clearly near and far with a contact lens that feels like nothing. Learn more and get a free 5-day trial at seenearandfar.com.
There's luggage that falls apart, and luggage that costs more than a plane ticket. Now, there's something new. The perfect suitcase. Meet away, thoughtfully designed luggage that charges your phone, fits everything and never breaks, and lasts forever. Try any suitcase for 100 days. Visit awaytravel.com.
Free college is a popular topic for 2020 Democratic hopefuls. A program in Tennessee is providing the blueprint for some candidates. NBC's Ann Thompson shows us how it works.
Bucolic, Moore County, Tennessee. Home to Jack Daniels and Trump voters, where nearly 80% voted for the president, there's a buzz about a program most often associated with progressive Democrats, free college tuition.
We want to improve that cardiac output of someone.
Specifically, free community college tuition, known as the Tennessee Promise. What kind of difference has Tennessee Promise made?
I feel like it's encouraged me and other students to go to college.
Mackenzie Eldridge is studying to be a nurse at Motlow State Community College. One of 4 children in her family, Mackenzie is the second to go on the Tennessee Promise, paying for 2 years of community college or technical school, regardless of income, saving Mackenzie and others up to $2,200 a semester. What difference does that make in your life?
I know that it's really helped me stress-wise. I know that I would have been stressed having to ask my parents to help me or having to look for a job that would help me pay more.
Funded by the lottery, Tennessee Promise passed with bipartisan support 5 years ago. Sold by then-Governor Republican Bill Harris as an investment in Tennessee's economic future.
The reality is most jobs in the future will require more highly trained people, but it will take less of them to do that. Well, the state that's able to have those highly trained people is going to win.
Answering the call, Dr. Michael Torrance, president of Motlow State, graduating students with technical and troubleshooting skills. What's the feedback you're getting from employers about that first crop of Tennessee Promise students?
I was just at a company yesterday, and they're pleased. They're pleased with our students. We have a warranty program that if there's an employer that is not pleased or feels that there needs to be some additional retooling, upskilling of a graduate from one of our programs, they can send them back to us, and we can provide them with that upskilling.
How many have sent them back?
I haven't seen one.
Statewide, the college-going rate jumped from 57 to 63% since the promise took effect in 2015. Success lies in its simplicity.
We've had financial aid programs in the state before. Most of the time they were kind of complicated. You had to either get a certain GPA, you had to be at a certain income level. It's actually pretty powerful just to say you can go to college for free.
Let's look at signs and symptoms of...
All students get mentors and must do community service. In exchange, Mackenzie and others learn the skills to get a job and build a career.
I just know that
The
as long as I
fuck?
put my mind to it, it can be done.
And that was in tomorrow morning on Today. Right now, Andrew Mitchell reports.
Thank you, Craig Melvin. And right now on Andrew Mitchell reports, impeachment trap. Speaker Nancy Pelosi tells House Democrats the president wants to be impeached, calling his actions at their ill-fated White House meeting villainous.
The House Democratic caucus is not only path to impeachment, and that's where he wants us to be.
Is the president putting his own job ahead of the best interest of the American people by saying no legislation if you keep investigating?
That's insane. The president is actually putting the American people first. It's the Democrats that don't want to do anything.
Battle-ready Mayor Pete Buttigieg accusing the president of faking a disability to avoid military service in Vietnam. In other words, calling him a draft dodger.
This is someone who I think it's fairly obvious to most of us took advantage of the fact that he was the child of a multimillionaire in order to pretend to be disabled so that somebody could go to war in his place.
And the American Taliban, 17 years after being jailed for fighting with the Taliban, American John Walker Lind is out early for good behavior, angering many, including the family of an heroic CIA officer killed in an Afghanistan prison uprising where Lind was held after 9/11.
He's not been rehabilitated, and he's probably going to go back into the same Islamic terrorist activities that he's been doing, because evidently he hasn't stopped.
And good day, everyone. I'm Andrea Mitchell in Washington, where Wednesday's White House drama is escalating into a full-blown feud between President Trump and Nancy Pelosi. Just the last hour, the House Speaker said impeachment is off the table for now, then giving her latest interpretation of what we all saw from the president.
I truly believe that the president has a bag of tricks, and the White House has a bag of tricks that they save for certain occasions. Now, this time, another temper tantrum. Again, I pray for the President of the United States. I wish that his family or his administration or his staff would have an intervention for the good of the country.
President Trump's strategy becoming clear. He is repeatedly slamming Democrats as a do-nothing party, portraying himself as the victim of the Mueller investigation. Joining me now, NBC's Kelly O'Donnell on Capitol Hill, NBC White House correspondent Peter Alexander, Steve Israel, former chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Michael Steele, former press secretary to House Speaker John Boehner. Welcome all. Well, first to you, Peter Alexander. The president is doubling down, if you will, or his staff, he is on Twitter, against Congress.
Yeah, Andrew, you're exactly right. You said it. He calls them the do-nothing party. He ignores the fact that obviously House Democrats, they don't control the Senate, so it won't go anywhere, but obviously they've made a lot of advances as it relates to guns, campaign, finance reform, and some other issues. But on these key issues, he's trying to win the messaging battle now, basically saying, I'm the one who's fighting on behalf of the American people. Sarah Sanders came out here and tried to reinforce that point a short while ago this morning, saying it is a, quote, complete lie. Democrats can do two things at once. She's insisting that all they can do is investigate the president right now. What struck me is obviously we heard the president say, you know, if you're going to keep investigating, there aren't going to be any deals. But today the president's counselor, Kellyanne Conway, appeared to walk that back entirely. She said to us that they are, the White House is willing to work on immigration, on infrastructure, on all of these topics. There's certainly a lot of confusion right now about exactly whether that's possible. For the White House, Sarah Sanders said they will work administratively, try to go it alone on things like health care, the border, but certainly there are some of those must-do items, the critical issues like the debt limit, obviously, government spending. Will the president allow the government to shut down? Will he allow the United States to default on its debts? They said on those issues, they are certainly moving forward. They said that there are staff-level conversations continuing right now. Andrea?
And Peter, you and Kelly O'Donnell were talking yesterday, reporting yesterday on this confrontation, if you will, between Kellyanne Conway and the Speaker. I wanted to ask Kelly about this because she was just at a news conference with the Speaker. Let's play a little bit of what Conway said today.
She did what she does all the time, which is said, I talk to the president, not to staff, because after all, she thinks we're all staff. I believe she's the sixth or so richest member of Congress and behaves that way. She treats me as she might treat her maid or her pilots or her makeup artist or her wardrobe consultants.
I'm not going to talk about her. I responded as the Speaker of the House to the President of the United States. Other conversations people want to have among themselves is up to them.
Kelly O'Donnell, you were in the room. Tell me about this, the whole response from Pelosi to Kellyanne Conway.
Well, there had been a little pushback yesterday among some allies of the Speaker when this story first came out, suggesting that it wasn't so abrupt. I think the Speaker made it very plain that, and knowing her and covering her for years, she's very in tune with the fact she is a historical figure as Speaker. She's also a constitutional officer in line of succession, and she represents this co-equal branch of government, the first branch, as she likes to point out, and did so today. And she wants to be dealing with directly the president. And Kellyanne Conway apparently had tried to engage with the House Speaker after the president left the room abruptly yesterday, heading to his news event in the Rose Garden. So it was pretty clear smackdown from the Speaker of the House about that issue and asserting her standing. Now, Kellyanne Conway's version of it is also quite cutting of the Speaker. The Speaker today was just more direct about her own place in these negotiations as the Speaker with the President. I was also struck by the back and forth I had with the Speaker today. I had asked her if she would adjust her rhetoric or her posture at all, knowing the lay of the land as she described it to us, that she recognizes the President is doing things that she referred to as stunts, talked about the fact that the use of words that she had yesterday, the cover-up, was a factor, although she didn't believe that was the real reason. I asked if she thought maybe tactically, for purely the pragmatism of getting things done, she might adjust. She pushed me back hard on that and said that she's going to pursue legislatively the things that she needs to do and will not kowtow, if you will. That was not her word, but I'm using that in a moment here, to the president. She also then reiterated something, and I followed up about her prayer, because I had the sense overwhelmingly, and we talked about it yesterday, that in her prayer, it was not the kind of prayer where you often hear people speak of praying for the president for the good of the country. This had a tone of concern in it, and today she went further and suggested intervention. Somehow the president is not fully in control of his faculty. She further went on and said, asking who's in charge, we make an agreement with you, and then it changes. So there was so much in her news conference today to tell us about where she thinks things are, and notably she says they are not on an impeachment path, in part because she believes it's divisive, and also because she believes the president wants it. Andrea?
Michael Steele, you, in having worked for John Boehner, have dealt with Nancy Pelosi before she was Speaker, after she lost the speakership, on both ways with her sense of power and how she is handling this president.
Well, Speaker Boehner always said it doesn't cost anything to be nice, and I don't think there's any reason to be peremptory or high-handed when dealing with human beings. At the same time, the Speaker is keenly aware of her power, her position, and I think it does highlight a problem dealing with this administration that you never really know when you're dealing with a president. The cabinet secretary, does that person speak with authority for the president? Will the president back up that person's decisions? If you conduct a negotiation, if you arrive at an agreement, will the president honor that? So while there's no reason to be rude, there's no reason to be peremptory or high-handed, there is also this sense that only the president can speak for this administration.
Well, in fact, Remember when Mike Pence told them that there was a deal and on immigration and there wasn't?
Hey.
And to avoid the shutdown.
Even to the vice president, you have to have the word of the president, and even when you have the word of the president, there's no guarantee that 280 characters won't reverse it.
Y'all already counted me out, man. You know what I mean?
Just how much was accomplished when Richard Nixon was being impeached and was getting legislation.
Hey, we got the first one under our belt, big dog. You know what I'm talking about?
And if you look at some of these big deals, the Legal Services Corporation was to create lawyers for the indigent, the minimum wage increase, the Endangered Species Act. He had actually a great record on the environment. Then throw up the Bill Clinton achievements. You can see all that was done while he was under impeachment from Newt Gingrich. And bipartisan work still went on. So how does the White House defend not performing or saying he's not going to perform his role as president until these investigations go away?
Well, it's indefensible. Look, Congress has a constitutional oversight responsibility, which it must exercise. That is its constitutional obligation and imperative. But at the same time, as you just said, it has an obligation to the American people to do things like reduce prescription drug costs and improve paychecks. And they can do both of those things. Andrea, let's just step back from as you said, I served with her as chairman of the DCCC. She has 9 grandchildren. She knows how to manage a good temper tantrum.
Damn, man.
One, and that's what she's
Ain't nobody got improved at all from that game?
Yes. We see a guy who has spent an entire career as a New York City real estate tycoon. What we saw yesterday is exactly how those negotiations are conducted. You go into a meeting where you want a deal to buy a building, you don't like what you hear, maybe you're offended by something that was said.
I'm trying to see my stats. I didn't even get to see the stats, man. What happened?
That might work when you're buying New York City real estate. It does not work
Oh,
when you're trying to negotiate
stats. God damn it.
ceiling and building infrastructure for the American people. So President Trump's going to have to rethink these real estate tycoons.
I was looking for some player improvement, man. That's what I was looking for. That's all right.
Biographer and historian had this to say about what the president is doing on the 11th hour with Brian Williams last night.
It's easy for me to say. I don't have to face the voters. It strikes me that if I were a member of the House of Representatives right now, I would be inclined to proceed at least to have hearings on impeachment, given that the president evidence of attempted
Ben went. I just wanted to see how many Ben went for. Ben went for 30. Okay, that's all I wanted to see.
He's not going to do his job.
You got mail.
We're investigating him, and that's a fundamental prima facie violation of the rule of law.
Michael Steele, when are Republicans going to step up to this issue? You had, one Congressman, Amash, speaking out. Journalism also referred
Just
to
saying, big dog.
The president was impeached, and one of the articles of impeachment was for criticizing Congress and congressional investigations.
No, I think that, look, the Senate is going to continue processing nominations, continue putting conservatives on the courts. In the House, the Republicans in the minority, they do not have the responsibility of governing. But I do think that we hit a crisis point later this year. The infrastructure is optional. The debt limit is not optional. Funding the government is not optional. And so it is probably going to take a bipartisan vote in both houses to avoid default and to keep the government operating. That's when I think you'll see real engagement from Republicans on Capitol Hill.
And let me just close this by saying one thing. The disaster relief for Puerto Rico, which should have been approved before they leave for the Memorial Day recess, is not going to be unless a miracle happens overnight.
Ryan, I'm going to forward you this thing Corey sent me in Messenger.
Kelly O'Donnell, Peter Alexander, Steve Israel, Michael Steele. And coming up, overruled, a federal judge says the president cannot stop his banks from turning over financial documents to Congress. You're watching Andrew Mitchell Report. Stay with us right here on MSNBC.
Hey, no coaching from the sideline, boss. Hey. Really?
By delivering.
That's the.
Annuities from Bright House Financial allow you to take advantage of growth opportunities with a level of protection in down markets, so you can be less concerned about your retirement savings.
Really?
Talk with your advisor about Shield Annuities from Bright House Financial. Build for what's ahead.
Exploring the heart of
Okay.
historic Europe with Viking, you'll get closer to iconic landmarks.
You continue to do that, okay?
Legendary treasures. As you sail on board our patented, award-winning Viking longships, you'll enjoy many extras.
That's how you do it.
Wi-Fi, cultural enrichment from ship to shore, and engaging excursions. Viking, voted #1 river cruise line by Condé Nast readers. Learn more at vikingrivercruises.com.
We have to be able to repair the enamel on a daily basis. With the new Pro Enamel Repair toothpaste,
Game
more
2 in
minerals
this
enter
bitch.
deep into the enamel surface. You have an opportunity to repair what's already been damaged. It's amazing.
What the fuck? You have to start that one over, big dog.
The 2019 Infiniti QX50. Luxury should be lived in. Lease the all-new Infiniti QX50 for $379 a month.
Mama, there goes that man.
Hey, gorgeous. Did you know QVC has your favorite beauty brand? And right now, you can shop all beauty on Easy Pay. Get it all now and pay for it over time with no extra
Look at that
charge
shit. What the
or
fuck you
additional
thought?
fee. That's the beauty of Easy Pay. It's beauty your way every day. Now through May 31st, only on QVC and QVC.com.
Get off me, little fella.
Shop the new Q.
Better put a body on it.
Never been a better time to buy than right now. During Bill Smith's 65th annual Memorial Day sale, we have the brands you want at the lowest prices, guaranteed. And Memorial Day savings are in effect now. Samsung French door refrigerators, GE washers, Bosch dishwashers, and much more. Remodeling, get huge rebates and deep package discounts on all the top brands. Outstanding customer service, a powerful low price guarantee, and 132 first place Reader's Choice Awards have made Bill Smith Southwest Florida's #1 choice.
Isn't this a situation of hate the game, not the player? This is a power play. This is a strategic move from her, right?
Why is this potentially such a big deal?
We have more breaking news. Why wouldn't we? It's Tuesday in Washington. The wall is the sticking
Although the promise was a wall paid for by Mexico.
I cannot wait to keep talking about 2020. I gotta tell you, I think it's fascinating.
Your entire business is profiting off of other people's information, then your job is to keep that information safe.
Another big legal setback for President Trump in his attempts to keep his financial records from congressional investigators. Now, a second federal judge has ruled against the Trump family and its legal arguments, this time in the case of Deutsche Bank and Capital One, whose records have been subpoenaed by House committees. In his ruling, U.S. District Judge Edgardo Ramos described the subpoenas as undeniably broad but clearly pertinent. Joining me now, Jeff Mason, White House correspondent for Reuters, and Elliot Williams, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs at the Department of Justice, who also worked
Get shit out of here. What'd you say?
The ruling was categorical, just as the previous district court ruling was earlier this week.
Do what now?
Must be feeling pretty embattled.
Right.
He didn't say nothing. He just sent it to me. He didn't say anything. Right?
Doug Letters, the Council of the House, used the term that the president regards Congress as a nuisance, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing here. The president, what we're seeing is a vindication
I didn't say that.
of the notion that...
I just said that's my nephew.
...down of the notion that Congress isn't a co-equal branch of government. They've gone over 2 this week on these sweeping claims of privilege and of both attorney-client and executive privilege. And they're just not, courts are just not likely to be receptive to the arguments that the president's making. And like you said, yesterday Ramos' decision was pretty unequivocal. It was a ruling on an injunctive matter, so legally that's saying not only do you not win today, I think you're not likely to win in this case down the road. And so that's
And he
very
ruled
strong.
from the bench on the same day as he heard the case.
Right, and so like clerk or federal judge, it's that's not uncommon when you kind of have a sense as to what the outcome will be after you've researched the law, and it's clear that the law was going to lead to this outcome, and so they probably had their order written in advance, waited to see if anything had come out at the hearing that would really have shifted their decision. Clearly they didn't, and left the ruling right there.
Jeff Mason,
You gotta keep in mind. You gotta keep in mind. Ben Simmons is a defensive player, man.
At the same time as Albany passes a law that the state tax returns for the Trump organization and for Donald Trump individually
You know what I mean?
being signed by Andrew Cuomo. That'll be,
Yes, he
I
is.
guess, challenged in court. But
Okay.
that would expose Donald Trump to a lot of visibility on his earnings and the sources of his income.
Absolutely, and that's what he's been trying to avoid for some time. I mean, look back to 2016, being the one presidential candidate in decades who didn't release his tax returns. And even though he said then that he would release them once they were through audit, it's now 2019 and we haven't seen them. So he and his advisors, his attorneys, have done everything they could to prevent his financial records from becoming public. And these court rulings are certainly a setback, and will give Democrats in the House some visibility if it succeeds and does not fall back with his next set of appeals.
And according to NBC News, two other banks, Wells Fargo and TD Bank, have already turned over records which we did not know about. What about appealing the Cuomo signing that law? Can that be taken up in court?
It can. It's thin. Now, the argument they're making is that it's a, quote, bill of attainder, which is one of those funky terms for people. Exactly. But the thing is, bills of attainder need to be punishments. This isn't typically, and that's in courts, don't have a very extensive view. This is going to be seen as a punishment. It's a pretty expansive law. One more important thing, getting back to these, the Deutsche Bank and so on, both here and in the Don McGahn matter, what you're seeing are third parties who are now sort of pulled into the web. It's not just about the president versus Congress. And Deutsche Bank and Capital One have their own legal interests to protect. And if there are subpoenas going to those banks, I think they have every reason to try to comply here.
And Deutsche Bank has been under a lot of scrutiny for other issues that have come up. So they are not going to be very likely to fight this themselves. It's the Trump organization and family that's fighting.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Given that history, and huge fines, millions of dollars of fines that Deutsche Bank
Who asked you
in
anything?
the last 5 or 10 years, they don't want to be seen as not complying with a lawful court order. So, I'd be, this just isn't about the president and Congress anymore, and I think everybody's now looking out for themselves, and they ought to.
Elliot Williams, Jeff Mason, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And coming up, taking on Trump,
What?
Navy veteran Mayor Pete Buttigieg today takes on the president with that brain disability.
Be a hater your whole life, man.
Washington Post Robert Costa, and Robert joins us next right here. Stay with us on MSNBC.
The first presidential debate of the 2020 election. A two-night event, Wednesday, June 26th and Thursday, June 27th, live from Miami, across 3 networks, NBC, MSNBC, and Telemundo.
I don't keep track of regrets, and I don't add up the years, but what I do count on is Boost.
Delicious Boost high-protein nutritional drink has 20 grams of protein, along with 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Boost High Protein. Be up for life.
This is a message for leaders of the Democratic Party. For over 2 years, this president has broken the law,
And nothing happened. You told us to wait for the Mueller investigation.
and when he showed obstruction of justice,
Nothing happened. When this president
took money from foreign governments,
And blocked the release of his tax returns, nothing happened.
and when his administration illegally refused to testify, nothing happened. Now you tell us to wait for the next election?
Really?
Really?
Really? This is why we volunteered.
raised money.
Went door to door.
and voted in the last election.
Our founding fathers expected you,
Congress, to hold a lawless president accountable.
And you're doing nothing.
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 He broke his oath of office.
He's defying you. He's laughing at you. And he's getting away with it.
This is our democracy. But Congress is part of the system. And the system is broken. We have to fix it.
Need to Impeach is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We knew Angie's List had reviews of home pros.
But so do lots of websites.
I didn't want to pay.
Then I found out it's free. Wait, it's free?
Free to check ratings, read reviews.
And they'll even match your project with a few qualified pros for the job. Go to angieslist.com today.
Introducing Nutrisystem's spring sale. Save 50%. Yes, 50%.
It's your favorite foods made healthier, perfectly balanced to put your body in.
Get the fuck out of here.
Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 60 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 41 pounds on Nutrisystem. Count, measure, meetings, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now. You'll get specially designed meals.
The food comes right to your door and it tastes great. You get the right foods in the right portions.
Hey.
How to keep the weight off.
Plus 1 week of all new Fresh Start shakes with probiotics to shrink your belly free.
And there's even a money-back guarantee.
For a limited time, save 50% off every program.
It's the biggest sale of the season. Call or go online right now.
Go online or call 888-681-FIT6 right now to save 50% plus get probiotic shakes free.
Family. It's one little word that means so much to each one of us. It describes the people we care about the most. I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anager and Levine. And the people of Florida are our family. We work hard to protect you with responsive help. Our team is ready to assist you in virtually any legal matter, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At Anager and Levine, we don't just practice law, we practice what we love. Call Anager and Levine for a free consultation.
As someone in witness protection, I can't tell you anything about myself. But believe me, I'm not your average consumer. That's why I switched to Liberty Mutual. They customize my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. And as a man, or a woman, with very specific needs that I can't tell you about.
Mr. Landry?
Oh no.
Hi, Mr. Landry.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty,
A devastating search and rescue effort underway in Missouri after a catastrophic tornado swept across the state, killing at least 3 people in the southwestern town of Golden City. Another tornado ripping apart buildings, knocking out power, trapping people in their homes, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. The capital, Jefferson City, took a direct hit from a tornado. Shortly before midnight, at least 20 people were injured in Cole County. The mayor of Jefferson City speaking out this morning on the Today Show about the road ahead.
So we're in good hands here, and we're taking care of each other, helping our neighbors out, and we're going to do this. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this.
And now, turning to 2020, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, an Afghanistan war veteran, slamming President Trump's draft deferment today from serving in Vietnam during an interview with the Washington Post's Robert Costa.
Do you think he should have served in Vietnam?
Well, I have a pretty dim view of his decision to use his privileged status to fake a disability in order to avoid serving in Vietnam.
You believe he faked a disability?
Do you believe he has a disability?
Yeah.
Yeah. At least not that one. Manipulating the ability to get a diagnosis. I mean, if you were conscientious objective, I'd admire that. But this is something.
All I follow you doing, I need to be in the damn penalty right now.
Most of us took advantage of the fact that he was a child of a multimillionaire in order to pretend to be disabled so that somebody could go to war in his place.
Well, let's get the inside scoop from Robert Costa, Washington Post national police.
That ain't nothing but a block shot right there, big dog.
Analyst and moderator of Washington Week on PBS. And A.B. Stoddard, associate editor and columnist for Real Clear Politics. Robert, tell us about this interview. First of all, that's basically calling him a draft dodger.
He called him a draft dodger. He said he faked a disability, speaking of President Trump. And this was not the only instance in the hour-long interview where Mayor Buttigieg took on the president on military issues. He also called out the president for reportedly considering pardons of soldiers, U.S. soldiers, who have been convicted of war crimes, and underscored his own service in Afghanistan as he took on the president's record on Vietnam and deferment.
Damn, I ain't in the bonus yet.
I'm going to play, A.B., another of the clips from this extraordinary interview.
I need to be in the bonus, though, man. All them damn files.
Talking to Mayor Pete about racism.
I need to be
President Trump a racist? I think so. I mean, if you do racist things and say racist things, the question of whether that makes you a racist is almost academic. The problem with the president is that he
Get that shit out of here.
does and says racist things and gives cover to other racists.
A.B.?
I think Pete Buttigieg has distinguished himself from the start in his willingness to kind of take on President Trump in direct ways, while the rest of his presentation is very moderate and optimistic and hopeful and positive. But he has been talking about the porn star presidency and going right to the president from day one. It's not the first time someone has said this. Paul Ryan, the former House Speaker, said that the president's statement about Judge Curiel was racist. This is not news that people have accused the president of this, but he's going to make the point that not only does he have a lot of terrific credentials, like being a military veteran and highlighting that, but that he's willing to take on the president in direct terms. And that obviously is appealing in a primary campaign.
Come on, man. Give me the bonus. Damn right.
Candidates, rather, for the nominations. A lot of them are out protesting against McDonald's in favor of the minimum wage today. And there's a new Monmouth poll that has just come out. I want to share that with you, and let's just caveat that this is early. The poll's really
Shit out of
just a
here.
snapshot, but it does show us a little bit about
No
what we're
goddamn
facing
gimmies in here, big
in
dog.
these rankings. And for the first time, we see that a number of the women are moving up in this poll. Joe Biden still goes up 6 points since April. And a big lead over Bernie Sanders. Kamala Harris breaking through into double digits. Up 3, Elizabeth Warren, also double digits, up 4. Pete Buttigieg down a bit, down 2 from last time. Beto O'Rourke, flat, and Amy Klobuchar up 2. With all of our cautionary comments today about polls, where do you see the race standing right now, Robert?
These candidates have a choice to make. It's early in the race. The debates are about a month away. Are they going to start to take shots at other candidates to try to break through? It's not about petty personal shots necessarily, but about policy. Repeatedly, I asked Mayor Buttigieg today about Vice President Biden, his record on the crime bill, on credit card companies. Senator Warren, for example, has taken on Vice President Biden on credit card companies, with many of them based in Delaware. She said Vice President Biden was on the wrong side. And you see now candidates trying to differentiate themselves because the vice president has pulled ahead. And Senator Warren has gained some traction by laying out some of these policy proposals and by swinging once in a while.
And one other thing that happened in politics to take note of, Harriet Tubman was supposed to be on the $20 bill. That was an Obama initiative. And Steve Mnuchin apparently has told people over at Treasury that they're not going to do this until well into the 20s, 2024 or later, trying to get the president off the hook, because clearly President Trump does not want to do that. He's such a big fan of Andrew Jackson.
This is just another example of the fact that when given the opportunity, the president is not trying to engage in a persuasion campaign for re-election in 2020. It's all about mobilization. He is not concerned about any pushback that he's going to receive to the news that he's not interested in putting Harriet Tubman on the bill. This will go over no matter how much it upsets people. It's just not of concern to the president that this is a political problem for him. He does what he wants, and he stays in his lane. He does this again and again and again. He finally came up with an immigration proposal that sounded like it was appealing to the middle, but everyone made it perfectly clear it didn't intend to become a real plan. So until and unless something changes, all of these things are of a piece, which is that he's appealing to his supporters only, and he's not interested in getting new ones.
And it's 2028. Those bills would not be in circulation, assuming some other president doesn't intervene with the plan. And by the way, if you visit Washington, maybe over Memorial Day, there is a wonderful Harriet Tubman exhibit at the Black History Museum here, the African American History Museum. Robert Costa, thank you so much, as always, and A.B. Stoddard, thank you. And coming up, Rex in effect, what former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson told a congressional committee in 7 hours of testimony that it's President Trump calling him dumber than a box of rocks. Yes, you heard me right. You're watching Andrew Mitchell Reports on MSNBC.
Inside Scoop is sponsored by Golden Corral. Is he going back to the salad bar? It's endless ribs at Golden Corral. Blue ribbon smoked baby backs. And hickory bourbon grill.
Ribs meet ribs. Endless ribs. Golden Corral. The only one for everyone.
The only thing we love more than showing troops how easy it is.
You got a good grip, bro. Explore all the possibilities.
Oh, Sling TV.
Your first time slinging, as always. So special.
I cried my first time.
Nick is a very generous slinger.
I like to share. Stop paying too much for TV. For a limited time, get all your favorite live TV channels. Only $15 for your first month at slingtv.com.
I knew I put on a few extra pounds. I was really hard on myself. I was just tired of feeling like that. It was hard for me to shed the weight until Jenny Craig.
From a top diet 9 years straight comes Rapid Results by Jenny Craig. It's our most effective program ever, and you can start today.
I didn't think that it would happen so fast, but here I am.
Come in for free and connect with your dedicated weight loss expert.
The consultant makes all the difference. That's what made it easy.
With Rapid Results, the secret is what you eat and when. With delicious, chef-crafted food. Call now and get 5 days of free food and free shipping.
I love the food. The food is delicious. This is gonna help me lose weight. Are you serious? I just ate a chocolate cake. The consultants are amazing. The food is delicious. The program is the best. I mean, what do you really have to lose?
For a limited time, lose 20 pounds for $20 and get 5 days of free food. Purchase required. Hurry, call now.
I used to love going out early in the morning with my watering can and clippers to enjoy my garden. Now things have changed. My angel helps me stay active and continue to do the things I enjoy at home.
I love to bring a smile to her face and know that I'm making a difference when she needs it most.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in home care.
When home projects get away from you, use the Home Advisor app to instantly book an appointment with a top-rated pro. Be prepared for whatever home projects come your way. Download the free Home Advisor app today.
When you shop for your home at Wayfair, you'll find just what you need and so much more. You get to spend less time searching and more time loving every room, even the ones you never thought could look good. You get great deals on the things you need and actually want. You get fast shipping on thousands of items and finds for every home and every style at every price. That's what you get when you've got Wayfair. So shop now.
People know me as a volleyball player, but I'm a cross trainer as well.
Serious athletes use KT tape to relieve pain in aching muscles and joints. Breathable, comfortable, super easy to apply, and helps you recover faster. KT tape. Train longer, finish stronger. Ready to break through your allergies? People everywhere are reaching for Allegra, the fastest non-drowsy allergy relief. It starts strong and stays strong for 24 hours. Get back to the moment with Allegra.
As tensions with Iran continue to intensify, NBC News is learning that the Pentagon is presenting plans to the White House to send up to 10,000 more troops to the Middle East. This as Iran's supreme leader for the publicly criticized his country's president, Rouhani, and Foreign Minister Zarif for the Iran nuclear deal. He has not called them out by name before. Joining me now is Maine Independent Senator Angus King, a member of the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees, who of course heard the briefing this week, the first major briefing from the military and from Secretary Pompeo. First of all, what do you think about this plan to perhaps present the president with the option of sending more troops?
Well, Andrea, the first thing to be said is Iran, guys, they're bad actors in the Middle East. Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria, Assad, IEDs, which they manufactured that killed Americans during the Gulf War. So no brief carried here for Iran. On the other hand, what's worrying me about this situation is we seem to be on a ladder of escalation, and the danger is miscalculation. And I don't think either side wants a war. I don't think Iran wants a war. I don't think President Trump wants a war. But what happens if there's firing on American troops in Baghdad, for example, or some activity in the Persian Gulf that cuts off the world's oil supply, or something that's a minor thing but leads to a retaliation? And I've looked at all the intelligence over the last 2 weeks. I'm on the Intelligence Committee, and the unanswered question is who's provoking whom? And as we escalate, sending more troops, moving aircraft carriers, we view it as preventative and as defensive. The problem is if they view it as provocative and leading up to a preemptive attack, that could lead to a preemptive attack by them. Wars sometimes start by accident, and I think that's the gravest danger that we face right now in this situation. I would like to see some direct contacts between the administration and Iran to try to defuse this situation.
Well, it does look as though, for one thing, that the current cycle of threats from Iran, which have been credibly reported, and I don't see the intelligence, but talk to a lot of people who have, those threats started after the State Department designated the Revolutionary Guard a terror group and took other actions to really squeeze their oil exports down to zero.
What kind of whole shit is that?
Who started first, with them being bad actors in a lot of ways, as we have all been reporting for decades now. The other point today is that the Ayatollah seems to have stepped it up by calling out Zarif and Rouhani for the nuclear deal. And he had not publicly chastised them before. Is this worrying?
Well, I think that's very dangerous and somewhat predictable. I believe that our abdication from the nuclear deal is one of the great mistakes that we've made in the last 4 years, because this is exactly what has happened is walking away, we've empowered the hardliners. We've undercut, I don't want to call them moderates, but at least they weren't the hardliners in Iran. And basically, the hardliners can now say, and the Supreme Leader is now saying, we told you couldn't trust the Americans. Look, we made this deal. We abided by it, which, by the way, everyone agrees that they did. And America walked away anyway and broke their word. So that was one of the, I think, a great mistake that led us into this situation of confrontation. And there was no reason to take that.
Hold on a minute. Let me take me a leak, B-Dog.
I think we're now seeing the fruits of it, that if there was any hope of some kind of, I don't want to call it normalization, but improvement of relations, it's now diminished as the Supreme Leader is criticizing those who made that deal.
And I want to also ask you about Rex Tillerson, with the extraordinary spectacle of Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State who was fired by the President on Twitter, now is being blasted by the President for testifying for 7 hours voluntarily to the House Foreign Affairs Committee, bipartisan members. The President today tweeting Rex Tillerson, a man who is dumb as a rock and totally ill-prepared and ill-equipped to be Secretary of State, made up a story. He got fired, that I was out-prepared by Vladimir Putin at a meeting in Hamburg, Germany. I don't think Putin would agree. Look at how the U.S. is doing. Well, first of all,
where do you want to start?
Where do you want to start? Because you're referring to Putin as his defense witness for the fact that he was not prepared. I want to play Mike Pompeo today on CNBC by Andrew Ross Sorkin being asked about this.
There was a report that he was interviewed by some congressmen and was asked about President Trump's values, and he said that he, meaning Rex Tillerson, was guided by, quote, American values such as democracy and freedom, but that he could not offer the same assessment for the president. What do you make of that comment?
It's pretty outrageous, and it probably explains why Rex Tillerson's no longer the Secretary of State.
Oh, all of the criticism of Rex Tillerson aside, to have a former Secretary of State treated this way on Twitter by the President and criticized by his successor is pretty extraordinary.
Well, the first thing I thought of when I heard that, number one, I don't know exactly what Rex Tillerson said. I haven't seen the transcript of that 7-hour interview.
That was a foul.
I think it's important. But the first thing I thought of was, wait a minute, who hired Rex Tillerson in the first place? The President of the United States. Nobody forced him to hire Rex Tillerson. He brought him into the administration of his own volition. And whatever you feel about ExxonMobil, I don't think somebody gets to be the CEO of ExxonMobil if they're dumb as a rock. I it's extraordinary that this kind of really sort of, I mean, to call it a personal attack is to dignify it. It's just sort of, as you see, I'm literally at a loss for words. I think we have to, but I think we need to see what the transcript was to put it in context. I don't want to characterize what he said in 7 hours based upon a couple of secondhand reports of a few sentences here or there.
Understood. concern. I do want to ask you about your new cybersecurity plan. Are you proposing this because you think that the administration is not doing enough? There's been some concern that after Tom Bossert left the White House, and in fact after Kirstjen Nielsen left, that she was good on this one issue in particular, but there's nobody really running cybersecurity.
Well, the project that I'm working on, and I'm co-chair with a fellow named Mike Gallagher, who's a Republican from Green Bay, Wisconsin, a member of the House, is not about this administration or the Obama administration. It's about the fact that we really don't have a coherent cyber doctrine and strategy. And our mission is to do just that. Because right now we are continuously, currently, today, at this moment, under attack. I talked to a utility executive recently whose utility, electric utility, is attacked 3 million times a day, Andrea. 3 million times a day. And I've talked to small banks that are getting hit 100,000 times a day, sometimes by state actors, sometimes by garden variety crooks. This is a huge challenge for the United States, and it's one that we have to face. And right now, as I say, we really don't have a doctrine. And one of the biggest problems I see is that our adversaries virtually pay no price for attacking us. They pay something of a price, but nothing that would cause them to change their calculus and say, wait a minute, maybe we can't do this to the American election system or to the financial system or the electrical system. We've got to set up something that says to the world, we're not going to be a cheap date in cyber. You're going to pay a
Come
price
on,
if
man.
you come after us.
Senator Angus King, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
Andrew.
coming up next, Hidden Heroes, shining a spotlight on millions of military caregivers. Stay with us right here on Andrea Mitchell Reports.
Align Daily. You have the support of a probiotic and the gastroenterologist who developed it. Wherever you go, Align naturally helps to soothe your occasional digestive upsets 24/7 with a unique strain of bacteria you can't get anywhere else. You could say Align puts the pro in probiotic. So where you go, the pro goes. Go with Align, the pros in digestive health.
In Jamaica, we live by the don't worry philosophy. And only Sandals gives you more of Jamaica because everything's included at 6 spectacular resorts. So you can stay at one and play at all of them. Play more, man. Dine at more restaurants, no problem. And celebrate more. All included, all unlimited. Sandals Resorts. More of Jamaica's best from the world's best. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Introducing Nutrisystem's spring sale. Save 50%. Yes, 50%.
Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches in your first month.
I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I lost 60 pounds with Nutrisystem.
There's even a money-back guarantee.
Order your 28-day plan right now. Save 50% off every program.
Call or go online right now.
Go online or call 877-984-FIT8 right now to save 50% plus get probiotic shakes free.
I want it.
I can't believe it. That cow brought his karaoke machine.
Nothing but a heartache.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Tell me why.
No, Kevin. No, Kevin. No. Believe it. Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Perfect new home, and we wanted to move fast, but we didn't feel confident making an offer until we knew our other home would sell.
Introducing Simple Sale by HomeLight. With Simple Sale, cash buyers compete to make you an offer whenever you're ready to sell. There's no prep, no hassle, no one.
Come on. Are you fucking kidding me?
In under a week, and it was so easy. And that perfect new home we found, we got it.
To see your Simple Sale price, visit HomeLight.com/simple today.
Fairway, 3 in the bunker, 4 in the bunker, over the green, on the green, 2 putts, to 5.
If you're gonna lie about your score, you may as well look good doing it. Shop great brands like William Murray Golf and check out original content at Golf's new sweet spot. Go to shopwithgolf.com. Straight from the world's best plant scientists
Miracle-Gro Performance Organics. It's Miracle-Gro's next big thing. Organic plant food and soil that finally work. And work. And work. And yes, we did say organic, for twice the bounty, guaranteed. Miracle-Gro Performance Organics. Organics finally grow up, and up, and up.
Knowledge is power. I want to help empower you to decide how this country should be governed.
More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
Behind each of our nation's 5.5 million military caregivers, a unique story of bravery, true grit, and unconditional love.
Your high school sweetheart. Rival high school.
And one.
2 hours from Hidden Heroes. What would it be? Some time off?
I need a vacation.
Every caregiving story begins with an individual who raises their hand to serve our country. Sometimes in the course of carrying out that duty, they fall. And when that happens, their caregiver, often the love of their lives, is the person there to lift them up off the ground.
The Today Show, along with Tom Hanks and former Senator Elizabeth Dole, shining a light on caregivers of military veterans. Here's Savannah Guthrie on those hidden heroes.
For many veterans, once they return from the front lines, another battle awaits them at home. Beside them, fighting with them and for them, spouses, children, families. These are the hidden heroes. Joe Dorsey, a Purple Heart recipient, in an IED explosion while serving in Iraq in 2004. He came home with shrapnel wounds, head and neck injuries, and PTSD.
And they come home and, it's welcome home parade, a lot of fanfare that goes along with it, but then life goes on. For a lot of veterans and their spouses, you're kind of left with kind of those hidden moments and those hidden experiences that maybe you don't share with everyone. And I'll go back to page 8.
A public school teacher, Andrea sometimes uses her sick days to care for her husband as he continues to cope with the visible and invisible wounds of war.
The world goes on, whether you're having a tough day or whether you're not. So when you decide that you don't have any other choice, you have to keep going. I have to just take on these challenges as they come, and I am strong enough to do this. And if there's going to be a military caregiver, then I'm going to be the best one that I ever could be.
Her husband is in awe of his wife, calling Andrea his rock as she picks him up on his toughest days.
Her to stand by my side and be as supportive as she has in me is more than anybody will ever know.
Just a few weeks after her husband Andrew's 4th deployment to Afghanistan, Amy Jenkins got a call she will never forget.
The only words I heard were his broken voice, and it said, "Hey baby, I'm alive," but that was heart-wrenching.
And left Andrew with a traumatic brain injury, his condition forever changing their lives.
All of the deployments before that had taken little pieces, but this one took his spunk, and I miss him. I've had to learn, I have to fall in love with him all over again.
Come on, man.
Amy doesn't have to look far to find support in taking care of her husband. Their 3 children have become caregivers too.
My children encompass what it means to love without boundaries. When they notice that I am stressed, they will try to pick up the slack. There is nothing that my children would not do for their father.
Her husband knows how lucky he is to have them by his side.
I live for my life. I do. The amount of stuff I put her and the kids through, not just through deployments, but through the aftermath of deployments and demons that you face and all the struggles.
So make sure you eat healthy today.
Robert Greer Sr. served in the Air Force in the Korean and Vietnam Wars.
There you go, falling down.
Robert Jr. became the primary caregiver for his 86-year-old dad when his late mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. For military caregivers, there are no days off.
It is a labor of love. It's almost like having children. It's the hardest job you'll ever love. there's constantly curveballs that happen with us.
His father is eternally grateful for his son's selflessness.
Son, I love you. You mean tremendous to me. Thank you.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you.
Once strangers with familiar stories, now finding comfort in one another. What can we say but thank you, Savannah Guthrie? We are in service ahead of Memorial Day. We'll be right back.
With moderate to severe Crohn's disease, I was there. Just not always where I needed to be.
She all right?
I hope so. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I learned Humira is for people who still have symptoms of Crohn's disease after trying other medications. And the majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief, and many achieved remission in as little as 4 weeks.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible. I don't keep track of regrets, and I don't add up the years.
But what I do count on is Boost.
Delicious Boost High Protein Nutritional Drink has 20 grams of protein, along with 26 essential vitamins and minerals. Boost High Protein. Be up for life.
Because of my teeth, I learned to do things from a distance. He has never talked about it.
Having a dental problem is a huge area. The love I feel for him, I want to make sure that he was happy.
And that's when we started talking. Then I looked into the dental implant process. Now I had an option.
At Clear Choice, we believe in more of a permanent solution.
There's an alternative to dentures. With Clear Choice, it's a very fine art and science mixed.
Everything is in one facility.
We're able to do all that all in one day. You start the healing process with your teeth.
Now, she's smiling and I smile back. And now we connect. That made everything worth it. That was the beginning for us, for a long, healthy life.
You're a big deal to us, so we've got big deals for you. Get more at the Big Deal event back at Men's Warehouse this Memorial Day. Shop our lowest price of the season with 60% off all linen. All dress shirts are $99.99, plus suits are starting at $199.99. Only at Men's Warehouse.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy, a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop up to 10 highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a
All right,
price
brother.
you can afford.
Call 1-800-709-0511 or go to selectquote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Today, John Walker Lynn, known as the American Taliban, was released from federal prison. Lynn was arrested in Afghanistan just 2 months after the September 11th terror attacks. NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams joins me now. You've been covering this for more than a decade. Pete, why is he being released since he apparently, and you have new evidence, is still spouting pro-ISIS and anti-American views?
Two reasons. Number one, in the federal system, you have to serve at least 85% of your prison sentence. He was sentenced to 20 years, so 17 is 85% of that. Secondly, you get out of the prison system at the end if you had good behavior. And to the prison system, good behavior means obeying the rules, not being violent. He can't be locked up for what he thinks. He can't be locked up for what he believes
which apparently, according to these intelligence assessments, is still support for jihad. But that's not a reason to keep him in prison. It's certainly a reason to watch him very closely, however. There are very tight restrictions on his release. For example, all of his internet use has to be monitored. He can't speak to anyone in electronic communications except
Damn, man, nobody
English.
playing their playoff games for real?
He can't leave the country. He can't have a passport. He'd like to go to Ireland, but he can't go. So there's very close restrictions, and we just know from federal authorities that the FBI and other agencies are going to be watching him very closely.
Johnny Michael Spann, CIA officer in that same prison where there was a Taliban uprising after 9/11. The first CIA officer killed after 9/11.
Yes, and of course it happened just a short time after Spann actually questioned John Walker Lind. And Spann's family, of course, believes that even if Lind wasn't somehow directly responsible for his death, that he must have known something, could have given a warning, believe he was complicit. When he was convicted, when he pleaded guilty, when he was sentenced right here in Alexandria, T.S. Ellis, the judge who presided over the Manafort trial too, I was sitting in the courtroom. He said there is no evidence that you had any role in Spann's death, but his family still believes he was at least complicit.
Pete Williams, as always, thank you so much. And that does it for us for this edition of Andrea Mitchell Reports. Remember, follow us online on Facebook and on Twitter at Mitchell Reports. And here is Ali Velshi and Stephanie Rule for Velshi and Rule.
Damn, Ben Simmons 2 for 7 from free throw. God damn.
I'm Stephanie Rule. It is
Horrible.
Thursday, May 23rd, and we begin with the escalating feud between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President Trump. Pelosi calling the president, quote, villainous, and saying he wants to be impeached.
Two Democratic aides tell NBC News that's what the Speaker told Democrats in a closed-door meeting this morning. The spat between the president and Pelosi grew hotter on Wednesday after the president reportedly stormed out of a planned infrastructure meeting. You'll remember this from 24 hours ago. He was having a meeting with leading Democrats. Instead, he ended up giving a fiery press conference in the Rose Garden.
This morning, NBC's Casey Hunt asked Speaker Pelosi if Democrats think they can still work with the president.
Madam Speaker, would you take another meeting with the president after what happened, and can you work with him on anything?
Of course. I mean, we're dealing with a situation that is becoming more predictable, but I do think that we have a responsibility to try to find common ground.
Hans Nichols.
She's there to go to work.
Yeah, no, she's going there to go to work. Hans Nichols is live at the White House for us. Hans, the president insisted on Wednesday that nothing gets done. What do you say? There's no cooperation, whatever. He's not getting anything done until they stop the investigation.
Taking his toys and going inside.
Well, it's a nice day outside, so I would go outside to play if I had my toys. But look, what we're hearing from officials throughout the administration is that they will work with Congress at a staff level, and the conversations are continuing, and that goes for trade, not infrastructure, right? It seems like infrastructure has been sequestered, but on things like the debt ceiling, on spending, on having some sort of resolution to a lot of these issues that are going to come to the fore later this summer. Now, here's the main issue.
Can I just give you one there? This argument that they're making, they will work on a staff level. What happens when that staff level then makes its way up to the White House? Because we've watched the last 2 years of discussions and negotiations on a number of topics. And when it reaches President Trump's desk, if he doesn't like what's going on, he says no, and he sends people kicking. This is the I and I alone president.
That's true, but at the same time, to get to that point and to know where the principles are, you need to have done the legwork ahead of time. And what officials are telling us here is that those sorts of conversations will continue. So it's not radio silence. Now, at the same time, we heard from several officials earlier saying that, look, if Congress acts on these things and signs them, well, then the president, and passes them, the president will sign them into law. Does that qualify as a negotiation, saying that you will sign something into law that Congress passes? So it's unclear just how long the president will continue giving Nancy Pelosi the silent treatment, whether or not there's any sort of way for them to come together, and how the president is going to get off his rhetorical limb, which is no conversations, absolutely nothing until Nancy Pelosi stops investigating, because Pelosi's made it clear that she thinks her constitutional prerogatives and her responsibilities are to continue oversight what the president thinks of as investigation. Guys?
Then has the president put himself in a position that he's in a corner? Let's say the House passes some sort of infrastructure bill. It might die in the Senate, but the Republicans' argument thus far has been stop these investigations and focus on what the American people want. What if
the Democrats are able to do while the president has his arms folded, ignoring subpoenas, stonewalling them, and doing nothing in terms of a legislative agenda.
Look, if it's a good bill and it spends money and the president wants it, I think the indication we had today is that he'll sign it into law. Stephanie, the president's only in a corner if you assume that he's going to be ideologically consistent and rhetorically consistent. Remember, he's reversed himself on a lot of issues. We saw that happen with the debt shutdown, on the president saying he wasn't going to open up the government until they funded the border wall. And yet, what did he do? He ended up caving and the funding for his border wall. So it's easy for the president to come back and reverse himself and says, well, that was always my position, because he's done that in the past. And again, if it's just his signature, if that's the extent of their conversation, my reading of the conversations I've had with officials here today is that they are still open to that, and that wouldn't violate what the president said about the two-track policy, where he says, if you're investigating, we won't do anything else. Guys?
Hans, thanks for your reporting on this. Hans Nichols for us at the White House.
Right now, the bank CEO is facing charges for allegedly trying to exchange $16 million in loans for a top position in the Trump administration.
Prosecutors say Stephen Kalk wanted a position in the Trump administration and approved the loans for former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort in order to make that happen.
With us now, NBC's Julia Ainsley, who covers justice and homeland security. Wow. Kalk was part of the president's economic team. How exactly did investigators know about this scheme?
Well, Stephanie, we've known about this in the public since the Manafort trial. This was a character that came up again and again as we tried to figure out how, an investigator tried to figure out how Paul Manafort managed his lavish lifestyle as he was going further into debt, how he got loans. And the answer to that was Stephen Kalk. So investigators came across Stephen Kalk and these loans as they were investigating Paul Manafort and found that he was giving him loans that other banks would not. And it's clear now that it's because Stephen Kalk had some skin in the game for himself, because he wanted a position within the administration and thought, well, if I lend to the president's campaign manager or the candidate's campaign manager, maybe I'll have a good shot at getting something in that White House if he's elected.
Okay, in the end, what happened?
So he was appointed to the Council of Economic Advisors in August of 2016, but he never got a position within this administration. It could be that that would have gone differently if Paul Manafort had stayed on within the administration, but as we know, he stopped being the campaign manager before Trump was even elected. But he ranked his top positions, Allie. He ranked Secretary of the Treasury, of Commerce, and even Defense, something he had no experience with. And ultimately, he did not get that. And then after that, the bank's regulators downgraded the loans to Manafort. But he came close, and he was part of that Council of Economic Advisors, as you point out.
That's amazing. All right,
well,
thank
can
you.
have a focus on defense, a defense attorney.
Julia, thank you. Julia Ainsley for us.
Thank you.
All right, Wall Street's having a rough morning. It's wasting... or it's bracing for some bad news this weekend. The Dow is down each week for the past month, and unless it rallies back up to a number 25,764 by closing on Friday, this will be the first time since 2011 that the index has seen 5 straight weeks of net losses. In other words, each week for the last 5 weeks, the Dow will have ended lower than it started. So you can see there where that would have to be about a 500-point where we are now.
But you also have to put into perspective, when people look at this and say, oh my goodness, we have a market shock, is this a recession? The market is moving like this because of the president's actions, because of the trade war. So there's some who can remove themselves and say, this isn't a market negative.
Correct.
The president has made a move that artificially impacts the market, and maybe for the time being, it's the right move if you reach the president's ultimately goal, but we're hard-pressed to find someone who thinks that'll be the case.
See, Sue Herrera joins us now. You know, some of the stuff that we're seeing in the market today are earnings related. Best Buy is saying, look, these tariffs are going to affect consumer prices for us. So some of it's sentimental and some of it's actual people saying, stuff's really happening because of these China tariffs that could affect the bottom line of companies in which we invest.
Absolutely. We heard that not only from Best Buy, we heard it from Macy's, we heard it from Target, and Target had a pretty good report yesterday, but they are saying that they feel as though almost cumulatively that they feel this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. And China's language in the last 2 days has been very stern, and so these companies are now trying to figure out whether if more tariffs are imposed or does the existing one stay, whether or not they can pass on that extra cost to their consumers. And Target, Macy's, and Best Buy all said no, we don't think we can. And as a result of that, they're going to take the hit on their bottom line. Also, I'm hearing from a number of analysts that the rhetoric that we're hearing between the Republicans and the Democrats, specifically House Speaker Pelosi and the administration, is creating an era of uncertainty on Wall Street. And as a result of that, people are putting their money into treasuries, into the 10-year bond. And as a result of that, we have yields on the 10-year that we haven't seen since early 2017. So I think this is going to be a rough patch for Wall Street, guys. And I don't know when it's going to end because both sides are dug in.
We've all covered business for a long time, and we know that come earnings season, companies look for every possible excuse to guide analysts down. It's the weather, it's the traffic. We know that corporate America got a massive corporate tax cut last year. Are their margins so thin that they have no choice but to jack up prices? Or can they take some of this cushion? Or can they cushion some of this?
I think they can a little bit of it, but what we heard specifically from Best Buy and also Target was that they do not see an end in sight. And the rhetoric is increasingly difficult between the two sides. And as a result of that, they think they can cushion it for a little bit. But if this goes on for, 6 months or so, they're not sure that they will be able to cushion it. Also, you had all of those shoemakers, the athletic apparel makers, send a letter to the president saying, if you keep these tariffs in place, we are going to see massive increases to the consumer. The consumer is going to be paying for these tariffs, not the Chinese.
So good to talk to you as always. Thank you, Sue Herrera.
While President Trump is refusing to work with Democrats during these investigations into his finances, the House is working to get a better look at how much the president owes and to whom. So far, we know that 4 committees are requesting financial information ranging the president's banking to his personal and business tax returns, even information from his accounting firm. 2 sources familiar with the Financial Services Committee investigation tell NBC that Wells Fargo and TD Bank have turned over documents relating to the president. The Royal Bank of Canada is in the process of complying with the committee's request. The 6 other institutions missed their subpoena deadline on May 6th. 2 in particular, Deutsche Bank and Capital One, were sued by the Trump family to prevent them from lying, and this might be one of the reasons the president was so fired up yesterday. A federal judge ruled that those institutions can comply with the House request to make money to Deutsche Bank, which is the only global bank willing to do business, willing to lend to the Trump organization over the last decade, $2 billion over the last 10 years.
Keep going.
When he took office, he still owed him $3 million.
Everybody good? As a member of the Financial Committee, Congressman Presley, good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Have you had a chance to review any of the documents that have been turned over so far by Wells Fargo and TD Bank?
I've not as of yet, but I'll just say that I'm very encouraged and grateful since this administration continues to at every turn to stonewall, to obstruct, that the courts are treating us as a co-equal branch of government that we are, and that they have ruled in our favor. And so we're getting closer every day to getting to the truth.
What are you going to do about the 6 banks that missed their deadline about 2 weeks ago?
Well, again, under the leadership of Chairwoman Waters, continue to leverage every tool available to us to get the information that we need to get to the bottom of all this and to get the truth for the American people. I mean, I have to just say this. I think, look, Mueller's a by-the-book guy, constitutionalist. He left us breadcrumbs. He gave us the runway and the roadmap. We are a co-equal branch of government, and I didn't come to Congress to impeach a president. I came to Congress to work on behalf of the residents of the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District and millions of Americans that are suffering every day under this administration.
Yep.
But, I believe we have no other choice. My hand is
What's going on?
because we're just talking about what's happening with tariffs. can't even remember. Secretary Carson was before our committee, Secretary Munchin as well. And these, even the cabinet members are just cavalier and obstruct and evade and stonewall. It is pervasive throughout this administration.
Do you have some sense of what
bring that stuff to the fence one? You bring that stuff to the fence one. Yep. Haha. I know not. You mean West Coast? Free. West Coast in the party? Oh, okay. I'm not. I'm not even. I'm not by my TV. Mike, he went to lunch with his wife. He's 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 a little bitter right now. He's a little butt hurt. Huh? Huh? Nah, it's just it's just basketball. Yep. Beat him by 8. Think twice. But I controlled the game. I controlled the entire game. You still whining about that goddamn remote, though. I thought he was in the chat or responded to or something. Uh, uh, let me take this broadcast down. Yeah.